Evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I, Gayatri Vinayak, would like to extend a warm welcome to one and all to our 187th AGM. We are privileged to have with us today our chief guest, Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Union Minister of Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textiles, who will be joining us shortly, and our guest of honor, Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, CEO and Editor-in-Chief, AMG Media Networks. I now request our Director General, Mr. Sandeep Khosla, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Gayatri. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you. As most of you would know, the Bombay Chamber today had held its 187th AGM. That's a very, very long and illustrious legacy which the Chamber has. And it has been possible only because of the efforts and the support of all our members, including you all. From here, we wish to continue and ensure that when we reach our 200th year, Bombay Chamber keeps on doing the kind of work it has been doing, adding much more to what has already been done. Every year, we come up with new initiatives. This year, for example, just 2 days back, we held the first DNE Awards, and the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Awards were one of its kind with the Chamber held. Very soon we will have this posted on our website. So once again, welcome each and every one of you. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you, sir. To begin the proceedings and to brief us on the achievements of the Chamber during the preceding year under his leadership, may I now invite Mr. Nilesh Shah, President Bombay Chamber and Group President and MD Kotak Mahindra AMC, to deliver the presidential address.
Thank you, Gayatri. Distinguished Chief Guest Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Government of India, who will be joining us shortly. Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, our guest of honor, CEO and Editor-in-Chief of AMG Media Networks. Mr. Ritesh Tiwari, past presidents, member of Bombay Chamber Board, Consular Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my heartiest welcome to each one of you for the 187th Annual General Meeting of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which, as most of you know, is the oldest operating chamber in India. Our special thanks to important stakeholders, including officials, administrators, corporates, and all of you who have joined us today. The Chamber, which has a long and distinguished history of continuous service to trade and industry, represents a wide spectrum of highly reputed and professionally run companies which are based primarily in the city of Mumbai, but whose manufacturing facilities and commercial influence spread through the state of Maharashtra, all over India, and now globally. Approximately 60% of Chamber's membership comprises micro, small, and medium enterprises, including startups. Since the Chamber's unique selling point is the intellectual capital inherent in its membership, it concentrates on promoting good governance and ethical conduct in business and public life, in addition to ensuring equitable and balanced industrial growth of the country. I would also like to touch upon few achievements of the Chamber during the previous year. In alignment with Chamber's themes of corporates for change, and also as one of its key components last year, we had focused on growth perspective, as growth is a way of life, substantiating on the same. The Chamber continued to play a pivotal role in the MSME segment, which comprised around 2/3 of its membership, Through its MSME and other expert committee, the chamber focused on activities and thereby became a platform that facilitated easier access of finance to them from banks and other financial institutions. Acting as a bridge between business and regulator, the chamber intensified this area by proactively participating in the consultative meetings conducted by the union and state ministers, the regulators, and other agencies, as also through sustained follow-up of the recommendation made by it to the said agencies. By way of its continuous activities, endeavors, and facilitation, as also through its Diversity and Inclusion Committee, the Chamber continued to be an apt support system for encouraging and promoting sustainable, equitable, and inclusive growth in the country. Embarking on our theme and key focus areas, the Chamber undertook various initiatives and also organized multiple high-profile conclaves and programs during the year on various current topics which were addressed by many high-profile speakers from the government, regulator, and corporate sides. As a maiden initiative, when I took over as the president in 2022, one of my main areas of focus was to explore ways and means to double the membership during my tenure with the Each One Get One membership referral drive. Through the program, the chamber requested each committee member to refer a few of their contacts and initiate a connection with the chamber. This initiative was quite successful, and the chamber was able to add many more new members over the year. To deliberate on the country's CSR mandate, the Bombay Chamber, under the auspices of its Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, organized a CSR conclave titled India's New CSR Regime, a Game Changer, on August 25, 2022. The conclave, held virtually, saw knowledge-driven sessions featuring expert minds deliberating on the new CSR mandate, environmental, social, and governance factors, and creating impactful CSR strategies. The Bombay Chamber, jointly with Kisan Forum, organized the 13th biennial AgriCorp Conference and Buyer-Seller Meet on October 11th and 12th, 2022. That proved to be a pioneering step towards bringing FPOs, organized retailers, startups, fintech companies, and state and central government organizations together. The two-day conference saw eminent speakers from across the agriculture spectrum and other stakeholders vital to the integrated agri-value chains provide their valuable insight and share knowledge on the topic, creating an ecosystem for integrating FPOs and EdTech startups into a value chain. The conference proved highly successful, and now there is a demand to do it on an annual basis. Since 2018, the Chamber, under the auspices of its Economic Policy Research and Development Committee, has been bringing out its annual economic outlook, where we present insights and share data procured from our member organizations, providing a broad-based analysis of the macroeconomic state of India. Each survey has thrown illuminating insights into the challenges of businesses, large as well as small, and their expectations of the future. The fifth annual economic survey 2022-23, conducted from September to November 22, saw great response from our large participant base, which featured both large and small enterprises. This feedback, shared with various regulators, have helped in creating various policies which will be beneficial to the overall economy. In line with the initiatives for the MSME sector mentioned by me earlier, the Chamber organized two high-profile conclaves. The conclave on empowering MSMEs addressed aspects such as finance management for MSMEs, innovation and modern technology for MSMEs, government schemes for export promotion in MSME, building the right team stroke skill development. The conclave on MSME Way to Our Future addressed the topics of opportunities for Indian MSMEs in the global market, access to financing, new opportunities of financing MSMEs, logistics and supply chain challenges, and government policies. We continue to provide a voice to our MSME members to connect with the regulators for appropriate policy making. The Bombay Chamber, under the aegis of the BFSI committee, organized its conclave on the highly relevant topic, digitization in the Indian financial services. The conclave, which featured experts from the banking and fintech side, featured panel discussions on topics such as ecosystem banking and neo-banking, digitization in rural India, and taking technology to the farmers, cybersecurity, as well as artificial intelligence. A conclave on managing risks and liabilities in the pharma sector addressed the Pharma Competition Act, challenges faced by the sector, such as shortages of key medications, quality and regulatory issues, and fluctuating drug pricing due to lack of policy stability. Diversity and inclusion mentoring for enrichment. The Chamber, under the aegis of D&I committee, initiated a series of mentoring programs for women professionals, the first one being Mentoring for Enrichment Program 22-23. An annual conclave on technology law was organized by the Legal Affairs and IPR Committee of the Chamber that addressed the key legislative developments in recent times and their impact on tech-based businesses. The 11th Biennial International Conference on Ports, Shipping and Logistics was organized by the Chamber on April 13, 2022 on the theme Envisioning Future of Logistics at 2047. It was a highly successful conference graced by luminaries from the government and private sector, including Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Sri Nitin Gadkari, Minister of States for Port, Shipping and Waterways, Sri Sripad Nayak, and Sri Rajiv Jalota, IAS Chairman, Mumbai Port Authority, and Additional Charge Director General of Shipping. The conference addressed the importance of prioritizing the environment, promoting public transport and green fuels, reducing logistics costs through express highways and alternative fuels, leveraging waterways and utilizing technology for sustainable development. The flagship Bombay Chamber's Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Awards 2023, held on July 12, 2023, recognized the exceptional dedication and accomplishments of organizations in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in India. The event also featured a panel discussion on the topic, panel discussion on changing dynamics of DEI in India, Inc., with eminent personalities from across various industries. Bombay Chamber held its 186th Annual General Meeting on 8 August 2022 virtually. Sri Suman Berry, Vice Chairman Niti Aayog, delivered the keynote address on the topic Niti and the States. The Chamber celebrated its 187th Foundation Day at the Taj President on 30th November 2022. The momentous occasion, which had Mr. Uday Kotak, Managing Director and CEO, Kotak Mahindra Bank, as the chief guest, and Dr. Sandeep Sastry, Vice Chancellor, Jagran Lake City University, Bhopal, as the guest of honor. It saw luminaries from across industries attend an evening of thought-provoking talks and discussions on India's position on the economic and financial front and its political prospects in the run-up to 2024 general election. I'm sure that with the continued active support and guidance of its members, the Chamber will certainly make every possible effort to serve its stakeholders and society at large. Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industries has a rich heritage. It played a pivotal role in bringing railway and developing port in the city of Mumbai to facilitate trade and commerce. The emergence of Mumbai, then called Bombay, as the commercial capital of India is in no means related to emergence of Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industries. I recollect a book on House of Tatas, where while talking about the financial turbulence in the early 20s post-Great Depression, there was a reference to the warning given by Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industries about the unnecessary speculation. On that rich heritage, Bombay Chamber has continued to grow from strength to strength, and today, in the 187th year of its foundation, it continues to serve the city of Mumbai and the trade and commerce in the city of Mumbai. Thank you once again to our guest of honor, Sri Sanjay Pugalia, and Honorable Minister Sri Piyush Goyal for joining us today. To continue with the proceedings, I would now request our incoming President, Mr. Ritesh Tiwari, to deliver his mission statement. Over to you, Ritesh.
Yeah. Thank you, Nilesh Bhai. Thank you so much for driving the entire agenda of Chambers for the last 1 year with so much amount of energy and passion. The impact of that you called out in many different ways. So super thanks for your leadership. Let me start with my mission statement out here. Sri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, and our distinguished chief guest for the evening. Our guest of honor, Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, CEO and Editor-in-Chief of AMG Media Network Limited. Past presidents, Mr. Hitendra Dave, Senior Vice President, Ms. Pinky Mehta, Vice President, Bombay Chambers. Distinguished ladies, gentlemen, and good evening and namaskar to all of you. I stand before you in all humility as I assume the office of the President of Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry this evening at the 187th Annual General Meeting. It is truly an honor and privilege to have been entrusted with this responsibility, especially given the rich history of distinguished past presidents whom I will draw my inspiration from. The Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry has played a significant role in the industrial and economical development of not only Mumbai, our beloved city, which is the epicenter of trade and commerce, but also of the entire country at large. I look forward to working with the distinguished board members, various committee members, Director General, and the Secretariat to take this rich legacy forward. I will continue to rely on the Council to execute what will hopefully be an inspiring mission for the Chamber. In keeping with the honored tradition for incoming President of Bombay Chamber, I'm delighted to present the mission statement to this august audience today. Mahatma Gandhi had said, "A small body of determined spirit, fired by unquenchable faith in their mission, can alter the course of human history." I therefore sincerely hope that this mission statement acts as a source of energy and direction for all of us. Bombay Chamber's core purpose remains unchanged, that of working towards the promotion of domestic and international commerce and trade. My mission is to further build on this core purpose in the context we operate in today. Today, we live in a world that is global, more interconnected, and where change is perhaps the only constant. My mission statement is thus an attempt to marry the rich legacy of our chamber with the opportunity we can unleash in this new global world by working together as India Inc. As stakeholders of our society and community, it is important that we acknowledge the role that we must play in enabling growth and development of our country. It is equally important to understand that we are not in a perpetual race. This is not a zero-sum game. The more we come together as leaders of India Inc. and work with the government and regulators, higher will be the value all of us can unlock together. We call it collaborative development. There will be 4 critical aspects to this mission. Number 1, embracing digitalization. Number 2, bringing sustainability at the heart of business. Number 3, fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion. And number 4, enhancing ease of doing business. Let me now elaborate on each of them. To start with digitalization. We are all aware and immensely proud of the world-class public digital infrastructure that we as a nation have built. Whether it is identity, data exchange, or payments, we have truly transformed the way India operates. We will only continue to see more areas like e-commerce, credit, etc., being transformed in similar fashion in the future. Bombay Chamber will aim to contribute to this Digital India vision of transforming India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. Through its various knowledge sharing sessions and initiatives and platforms, the Chamber will aim to create greater awareness amongst not only the large players, but also SMEs on the digital tools that can help enhance efficiencies, unlock growth, and manage risk. At the same time, the Chamber will work with the private players and regulators to build and propagate relevant digital use cases. Special focus will be paid to leverage digitalization and drive equitable growth in areas of social importance like credit, health, and education. Now let me talk about the second area of focus, which is sustainability. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, outlined our country's 5-fold strategy on climate action, or the Panchamrits, as they were called at COP26. As we work towards these goals as a nation, whilst balancing our ambitions on growth and development, we will require formidable changes to our ways of working across the ecosystem. Bombay Chamber will endeavor to contribute towards this mission by A, building awareness to local and global best practices, sharing amongst the companies to accelerate their journey on path of sustainability. B, working with stakeholders across the ecosystem, players of India Inc., financial institutions, the startup ecosystem, and regulators to create a buoyant platform providing knowledge of latest climate tech advancement and available funding options, amongst others. And C, help build capabilities for India Inc. to lead on global landscape through transparent and relevant ESG reporting, on which we already have taken big steps forward as a nation. Talking about the third area of focus, diversity, equity, and inclusion, in short, DEI. Our Honorable Prime Minister's vision to make India a developed nation by 2047 will require us to foster growth that is both inclusive and equitable. As a country, we have indeed made progress in this aspect. We, however, do have a long road ahead of us. Even if I speak about one aspect of DEI, as per World Bank, closing gender employment gap alone could drive up 20% higher GDP in the long run. So not only is fostering DEI a moral imperative, but it also has a very strong economical case. As Bombay Chamber, we remain extremely committed in not only building awareness, but by helping lead the chain in this aspect and unleash this untapped potential for our country. Now coming to the last area of focus among the 4, which is ease of doing business. According to World Bank, India ranks 63rd in ease of doing business across the world amongst 190 countries, improving its rank from 142 in 2014. Our Honorable Prime Minister's mantra of minimum government, maximum governance will be a key enabler in making India an attractive trade and investment destination. The Chamber will continue its effort of working with both private players to further enhance initiatives in this area without compromising on the spirit of disclosure and governance. Before I close my mission statement, I would like to emphasize the fact that this is not mine alone, but a collective vision of all of us at Bombay Chamber. In the coming year, me and my able colleague at the Chamber will continue to strive for impactful delivery across the four pillars of our mission. We look forward to your partnership and support as we move along on this journey. With that, I would like to close taking inspiration from Abraham Lincoln's quote, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Charged with an intent to create positive impact and guided by our mission, I hope that we will be able to do our bit in building the future of our country and take the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat to the next level. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Before I invite our guest of honor, Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, CEO and Editor-in-Chief, AMG Media Networks, to address us on the topic run up to the 2024 elections, I take the privilege to briefly introduce him. Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, CEO and Editor-in-Chief, Adani Media Initiatives, is a senior journalist with more than 3 decades of experience. He has worked with several Indian and global platforms. His work experience spans print, electronic, TV, and digital media. He's a well-known figure in India for his political and business reportage and for his marquee interview shows. He has overseen several major media launches in India. Prior to joining the Adani Group, he was working as president and editorial director, the Quint Digital Media Limited. He was also on the board of Bloomberg Quint. Over the years, Mr. Pugalia has worked directly with India's media key and strategic media editors and owners. To name a few, T.N. Neenan from Business Standard, late S.P. Singh from Aajtak, Mr. Raghav Bhal from Network 18, The Quint, Mr. Arun Puri from India Today, Mr. Subhash Chandra from Zee News, and Mr. Samir Jain from Times of India. As a reporter, Mr. Pugalia has covered several major national and international news events over the years. He has engaged strategically with Fox News, Sky News, and BBC newsrooms, and has had professional associations with many leading international journalists across FT, Reuters, and Bloomberg. Some of the key roles played during his yesteryear's experiences in the media field include: number one, spearheading launch of CNBC Awards, the leading Hindi business channel of the Network 18 Group, and successfully leading the channel for 12 years, launching India's first Gujarati business channel. As a print journalist, he started his career with Nav Bharat Times before shifting to English journalism with the Business Standard. As a news director for News Corp's India Foray, he launched ABP News, then Star News. Mr. Pugalia was a key contributor to the revamping and relaunching of Zee News, India's first private sector television news channel. Mr. Pugalia was a key contributor and he played a strategic role in Aajtak's foundation team. Aajtak continues to be India's one of the leading news channels run by the India Today Group. Mr. Pugalia also had a short stint as head of strategy for Australia's Nine Networks India business before the folded up. He was also one of the key contributors for BBC Radio for many years. Mr. Pugalia strongly believes in continuous learning, upskilling, and reskilling by exploring new horizons of digitization across the wide spectrum of media industries. Before I request Mr. Pugalia to deliver his address, we also request members to kindly post their questions in the Q&A box. The questions will then be compiled and put forth for our guest of honor by the panel. Thank you.
Mr. Pugalia hasn't joined yet. We're just waiting for him a couple of minutes more. Kindly bear with us.
Can I just use this little break to check that I'm audible?
Yes, Mr. Dave.
Yes, Jitendra. Yeah. Muslim Sandeep, we have a confirmation for Mr. Pugalia to join shortly, unless you want to start the next session before and then come to this. You decide. You're mute, Sandeep. You're mute, Sandeep.
Sorry, Ritesh. The next, the session after that is Mr. Piyush Goyal. So we'll have to wait for him as well. Just give us a couple of minutes. Calling up Mr. Pugalia's office again.
We'll also spend some time today to speak to our past President, Mr. Malaysia, and get his views on the economics as well. Yeah.
Yes. This was just a short film on the Bombay Chamber office. For all our members, we've now converted a erstwhile boardroom into conference room, and at very economical rates, members can come, conduct their board meetings, conduct other meetings. We've got all facilities, state-of-the-art office. So we've been requesting members to come and have a look and conduct their meetings here. Can we request Neeraj Bhai meanwhile to give us his perspective of till Mr. Pugalia joins, Neeraj Bhai?
Yeah, I was just trying to connect with him, but unfortunately he's not picking up the phone call. But let me try to fill the gap vis-a-vis how I'm looking at the market, and will request Hitendra to join in wherever he thinks appropriate. In some sense, our markets are today repeating the story of Birbal. When Akbar wanted Birbal to make the line bigger without touching it, Birbal achieved the same by drawing a smaller line below. Today, the same thing is happening with India. We are doing well, but others are falling behind, and which is making us look even better. To give you a small example, globally, foreign investors have poured in about $3.5 trillion in China. And over last 30 years, Chinese markets have underperformed India. The total investment by global investors in India is just about $600 billion. There they have profit. There they also have an exit, as they saw during October 21 to June 22, when they could take out $35 billion without much of a price impact. Market barely came down by 10%. And more importantly, in a single group, they could take an exit of more than $8 billion. Clearly, global investors are seeing 3G of growth, governance, and green. Our earnings growth is better than our peers and likely to remain so for the foreseeable future. Our governance standards are better than peers, and we'll have to maintain that lead in order to maintain our premium valuation. More importantly, Indian economy is transforming into green economy with investments in renewable energy and also various steps which government is taking to fulfill COP26 obligations. We are one of the few emerging markets as well as developed markets which is nearer to fulfillment of its obligation under COP26. This 3G of growth, governance, and green are resulting into an appropriate advantage for Indian economy. I think now Sanjay Bhai has joined in. He just messaged me.
Yeah, yes, he's joined Nilesh Bhai.
Perfect.
So,
So let's
yeah.
welcome Sanjay Bhai. And over to you, Sanjay Bhai, to take us through the contours of run-up to 2024 election, and how do you see political parties doing various kind of strategies? Sanjay Bhai, you are
Yes.
yes.
Now, am I audible and visible?
Audible, yes. Visible, no. Now we are visible, Sanjay Bhai.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so very much and sincere apologies. I struggled in joining. Maybe I was mismatching the mail IDs and my password. Sincere apologies to everyone present here.
No. It's right, Sanjay Bhai. Technology always overpowers us.
Hello.
Yes, Sanjay Bhai.
Yes. So if I have interrupted you, why don't you continue? Let me hear you out.
No, sir. My speech was supposed to be after yours. So I was just filling the gap.
Okay. So why don't you just set a 2-line agenda for me and then I'll start talking about it with you.
Perfect, Sanjay Bhai. Over the years, Sanjay Bhai, I have seen and heard your analysis on political landscape and the strategy which is followed by various political parties. Those analyses have been extremely useful. While in the near term, there is event of election 2024, markets obviously are discounting a reform-oriented government. Will that expectations of market be fulfilled? What will be the run-up to 2024 election? What will be various strategies adopted by ruling as well as opposition party? Will be really interested in knowing your insights on the same.
Okay. So rather than making it monologuous, Nilesh Bhai, how about making it more interactive where we do a short question answer with you? So it will put all the point on the table. Otherwise, I will get busy with kind of preliminary conversations. That won't really help because everyone is too aware. All the audience that you have, they are too informed and enlightened about what is happening in Indian politics. So my simple one-line takeaway after Karnataka election has been that Karnataka is a state election. Do not extrapolate it for the Lok Sabha election. Lok Sabha election is a different ball game, and there, when Modi ji is on ballot, then 5 to 15% vote share, vote premium, he commands on his own, depending on in which region, in what way. So if he may not get any vote in West Bengal, in Lok Sabha, in Vidhan Sabha, but in Lok Sabha he may surprise. Same thing will happen in Karnataka. So the problem is we in media always want to create mystery that chess game is on and he can lose, he can win and all of that. So the eyeballs are with us. But here the problem with me is that if you are talking to me, I am going to demystify everything and give a simple news that BJP led NDA government, I clearly see coming back Modi as Prime Minister, I see clearly that he will come back. So I do not see any other dramatic change in the political situation. Even if there is a coalition government, practically a coalition government under BJP's leadership, then the question from the investors could be that there will be instability, there will be policy paralysis. Again, I will rule that out. The policy making has completely got delinked, as you were mentioning, with the electoral outcomes. Even if some people are anticipating that there could be some other kind of coalition government, maybe led by opposition, UPA, whatever, even then I'm telling you, the policy trajectory is not going to change. That is your core element in making any decisions about your business or about your investment. I will stop here.
Thank you, Sanjay Bhai. Which is why probably even markets are discounting that outcome and are at all-time high level. But if you are an opposition party or a consultant to opposition party, what strategy you will follow to change the course or make a dent? What should opposition party be doing? They are all coming together as we have seen in the past. Will that coming together be successful in mobilization of votes?
Yes. So what strategy they should or they are deploying is very simple, that get united. We all are desperate. We need to get back to Delhi politics in a relevant manner. That means we come to power. And for that, it is very important that we have to go for a one-on-one kind of contest across the country on 543 seats, which they also know that it is not possible. So if you talk to them informally, they tell you that, yeah, uppermost limit of a one-on-one contest is between 350 and 400 seats. I would be happily surprised if they really are able to mount one-on-one in 350 to 400 seats. I will be surprised. Why? West Bengal, can they make it a straight contest where BJP and Mamata contests and left and Congress, they do not contest at all? Not possible. Can they make it straight contest in Andhra and Telangana? Very difficult. So my point is that real one-on-one is not possible. Optically, it is possible to in some seats, but not on all seats. Secondly, fundamental point, opposition is uniting on what plank? I understand for opposition, the plank number one has to be that this government is bad and it should go. And it is bad because of A, B, C. You have 3-4 talking points, whatever. Inflation to unemployment to social conflicts, etc. What is your own story to sell? Why should I vote for you? I am not able to comprehend so far that what story opposition has for the electorate on which an average electoral voter will get excited and would want to vote for the united opposition candidate. And he will also be worried, even though we rationalize and we rule out that coalition governments are not bad. But large masses who vote, they think coalition government is bad. The third thing that happens, when you go to vote, you want to vote for the right party, which is a winning party. Many a times I don't want to vote for a winning party based on my ideological situation. But when I hear around me that he may be winning, then I want to be with my winning side. I may not come out of the booth and tell you that whom did I vote, but I'm to myself want to tell that I took a right decision. I'm a great political strategist and I understood that this guy is going to win and I voted for him. So that also helps the party for whom there is a momentum. This opposition unity will face lots of contradiction and headwinds as they go along. Even though today you saw the bonhomie between Aam Aadmi Party and Congress, Aam Aadmi Party rose on the demise of Congress Party in certain states, especially Delhi. And the whole politics was based on anti-Congressism. Now on the issue of ordinance, they have got together. That doesn't give me a sense that Kejriwal will still not contest in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. I am your partner. We have come to an adjustment in certain areas, but how can I leave my other areas vacant where I have some possibilities and opportunities? Let us assume a dream scenario that Kejriwal agrees not to contest Madhya Pradesh, which will be a big help to Congress Party, because Congress Party is now in direct contest with BJP in very few seats, few states, very, very important states. Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, largely, then Himachal, Haryana, Uttarakhand. How many spoilers will be there fielding their candidates? I have no count. So chipping away 1% vote here and 2% vote there matters a lot in such a polarized election where there is a gap can be narrowed down by a state contest. So how to make it multi-corner? So get some rebel, fund the person. So any political party would do either way, whether they are in the ruling side or on the opposition side. So this vote cutting will be a big game wherever there is BJP is facing some kind of serious contest. What is the, when I'm saying this, everything leads to only one thing, don't worry, it is very easy for BJP. No, I am not saying that actually. All I'm saying, the electoral chess game, opposition will not be able to put its act together to understand the BJP's homework, to understand the wretched system, I'm wretched using as a pun, first post past the system, where I can lose my vote share and I can still win because I have decided, I have made sure that opposition votes are not uniting together under one poll. So all of this will play out soon, and you will see it in every state election that we are now going to witness in next few months. So these are my broad contours. The problem BJP has in 3 areas, very big areas. 42 seats in West Bengal, 54 seats in BJP, Bihar and Jharkhand, 48 seats in Maharashtra. Put together how many? 144 seats. So BJP is extremely anxious and nervous to make a serious inroad here in these states or maintain the tally that they got. They know that there will be a loss of seats in these areas. They had hit many states up to optimum level, 25 seats in Rajasthan, etc. So of course they will lose couple of seats in all these states. So how to make that up? So Northeast remains a strong focus. South India remains a very strong focus. They may not be very successful in Tamil Nadu. Of course not. But you will see unimaginable political activity in Tamil Nadu. So they will make a big significant entry this time. Let us come to the composition of the voters who vote for BJP. I'm sure we are talking in an enlightened audiences, and Chatham House rule applies here, I guess. So see the efforts that ruling establishment is making all over in Tamil Nadu, in Andhra, in Telangana, everywhere. All of this will result in something. Then, as far as the social groups are concerned, BJP is trying hard to become a party of backward caste. BJP is trying hard to get Muslim vote to some decent level. And so when Mr. Modi goes to US and returns via Egypt, when Mr. Modi goes to France and returns via UAE, take that very, very seriously. So the party which gets 2%, 3%, 4% votes of total Muslim votes, they may get a very, very decent number this time. And that will be a sort of miracle.
Sanjeev bhai, about 22 crore new voters are going to vote in this election. And that's a substantially large portion who does not carry historical baggage stroke experience. How will this bloc vote, and what strategies political parties will use to influence them?
Very interesting question. So these first time or second time voters were teenagers when they voted for the first time. They do not have a memory of the past politicians, performance, governments. So what they have seen is this government only. Is there a fatigue factor about BJP? In general, the answer should be yes, that there is a fatigue factor. It happens after 2 terms about any government. But does BJP is always smart and very, very clever with coming up with new ideas and new emotions and new dreams? Yes, very much. This class of voter may not be happy with the performance, but is not clear whom to vote for. How to get them to vote? I have to sell a very convincing story to make 2 points. That Nilesh Bhai is not a good guy, I am a very good guy. Nilesh Bhai is not a good guy. The story is somewhat convincing because Nilesh Bhai's own projection and campaign is also very comfortable to voter. Mr. Modi, I have checked with many surveys, very credible surveys, that yes, we are not happy with this government on ABC reasons. But whom will you vote for? Modi ji. When we don't give them prompted names, we ask them. I'm talking about 2 serious surveys that I was involved with. Without prompting, we ask them to name the person they want to vote for and they want to see as a prime minister. They still name Mr. Modi. The number 2 guy is far behind by 10 to 15%. So Mr. Modi's personal popularity via the route of apolitical interfaces and touch point is something that sometimes we underestimate. So the new voter is critical, but is not very familiar with the opposition agenda and narrative, not very comfortable to see the next prime minister. Rightly or wrongly, the prime minister, Mr. Modi has made this election a quasi-presidential election. So that asymmetry is also there. Plus the asymmetry of information, Nilesh Bhai. The kind of narrative this party, this establishment builds and conveys and convinces people. The other side is catching up, doing something, but still there is a serious information gap. So if I have a credible story, I can convince you, I should be able to reach you now. So that is also another problem. So as far as younger voters are concerned, you will see that the total voting for BJP will go down, but still they will manage it.
Sanjay bhai, one thing which we are seeing increasingly in the election cycle is promises of freebies. Now, on the promises side, sky is the limit. But fortunately for us, on the delivery side, it's fairly, repackaging and not necessarily as per the promises. Will we see in this election cycle return of freebies culture, which can seriously damage India's fiscal fabric and also dent the premium valuation which India is enjoying? What will we see on the freebies side? Freebies versus bravery. Where do you see balance tilting?
You are right. The way BJP has crafted its social welfare schemes is far different and rational and responsible compared to the kind of freebies that opposition governments, opposition parties are offering. I see that playing out optimally. Will it put a stress on our fiscal management? The answer is yes. To what extent? I am not very sure about it, because you are the best judge, because you deal with numbers, so you will know that to what extent they are going to splurge and which will damage in what kind of re-rating, and then impacting our investments. One thing, they may not be efficiently handling it, but their intent is not to really tinker with core economic principles. And they have actually learned from Mr. Modi this time that you can make promises, you can still get votes, you can still remain popular. But if you tinker with the consolidated fund of India, then there is a problem. So they may be little smarter once they come into power. Till they don't come into power, there is no problem in making big, tall promises and making sure that people vote for that. So at state level, it doesn't really reflect in that significant manner. But at national level, it will be a problem, and this space will be watched very, very carefully. I'm sure when these critiques and the criticism will be put before them, the Chidambarams of the world and the Stalins of world will have some kind of explanation and answer. But a limited universal scheme is actually becoming a global phenomena, and economies are readjusting themselves accordingly. They are making space for that, and they are looking at other ways of revenue generation. So this new adjustment, somewhere happening at a fast pace, somewhere happening at a pilot project, but this is happening because the kind of world we lived in, all governments, as advanced as Americans, they realized that without social security and without emergency support, nothing works. So I think there will be change on both sides, that you have to be responsible. If you become irresponsible, you will spoil everything. But if you come to power and you still try to fulfill those promises, you still spoil it and you will become unpopular. And you are not Teflon coated government like the current one. You may be thrown out much earlier than your term. So then they will try to find a balance between that. So it will not be 0 and 1 game. It will be somewhere in between. I would like you to comment on my point. I'm sure you will have some disagreement here, Nilesh bhai.
Sanjay bhai, as I mentioned earlier, so far we have been on the freebies walking left and talking right. The basic structure of fiscal discipline, no political party has tried to erode. They have repackaged existing schemes. They have created some amount of higher taxation, as we saw in couple of states, and ensured that the fiscal discipline is not eroded. However, as these things continue to move forward, we don't know when Lakshman Rekha will be breached, and we go back to the pre-90s days, where higher fiscal deficit continued to impact India's growth prospects as well as rating, as well as valuation. Sanjay bhai, in all our elections, we have always heard about Videshi Hath, whether it's imaginary or real, but we continue to hear about the same. In today's interconnected world of social media, uh, what could be the intervention from the global side, especially as they control many of the social medias from Twitter to Facebook to YouTube? There is artificial intelligence which can create fake videos, and before it can be denied, they go and become viral. The social media and global angle, what will be your reaction? What will be your understanding? How much they will impact our election outcome?
To be honest, my answer will be that the real mandate that finally comes out, they cancel all such distortions, uh, all such influences. They cancel each other out. And finally, what mandate we get is an Indian mandate. Number one. Number two, applying all these bad tools. Every country, every political side, left, right, or center, they all apply, be it any country. This will be applied here also. My short answer to this question is that this BJP is very, very well equipped to handle this kind of disinformation. Or when I'm saying this, I'm also saying that BJP is also equally capable of setting their own narrative, storytelling and agenda, which sounds believable, which may not be 100% true. That will also happen. That always happens. As I said, any any political party will apply all possible game, and everything is fair in love and war. So that's what they will do. There will be efforts. Ruling parties always say that there is a Videshi Hath, even though many a times there isn't. Many a times, in fact, ruling parties saying this helps them build a better narrative, even though it is an insignificant development. Like 100 articles in Economist or FT or NYT has zero implication on Indian politics. But to any ruling party establishment, it gives a very good tool to go and cry, be a crybaby. Look, people are against us. People don't like our rise. People don't like our growth. So all of this happens. So this Videshi Hath theory is very tempting idea to discuss. I, as a Indian citizen, not worried about these attempts. Having said so, let me clarify one thing, which is a monster and which is, regardless of election, showing its whatever role it is playing. This new big tech, social media led chaos globally. Politicians have woke up. They are trying to limit the damage because now it is pinching them. Earlier they used it. Now it is pinching them. It may be too late. By the time you will try to tame big tech, now please see, big tech are feeling under pressure because of the newcomers who have done things in AI. Now they are trying to buy, acquire, invest, compete, whatever, and then tell world governments, look, AI is very dangerous for the humanity. Please try to curb them. Because now the hegemony of Google and Meta is being challenged and they are feeling vulnerable. They are making mistakes after mistakes. And by the way, last few years, whatever they have built on acquisitions. So please understand the limitation of innovation. While saying so, what I wanted to make one simple point, these private entities have become much more powerful than any one country or the government. They have become a parallel universe in themselves. They can create havoc with countries after countries, no doubt about it. But this is a monster that we have unleashed and we forgot to regulate it. Political class globally forgot to regulate it. And now they are doing catch up. Where we will end up, no idea.
I have my colleagues Ritesh and Hitendra also on the panel. If there are any questions from your side, Ritesh, Hitendra, please do join in.
Let me ask the next question, and probably Hitendra, you can go after me if you're okay. Sanjay, super thanks for the perspectives. Always good to hear. I was thinking of international perspective. The world will watch in the election. The world is interested in who gets elected and how that party will take it forward. In your view, what would be today's international perspective on Indian election, and what would their expectation be? Any idea of that?
Sure. Look, India has now become a great power. It is not on the way of becoming a great power. It has become a great power. There is a extreme seriousness among all significant players, entities across the globe, be it West, be it Asia, Africa, Middle East, everywhere. Every big power has realized the difference. What has happened with US? The difference is very simple. Earlier, they were senior partner, and countries like India, in their eyes, were clients. But now we are allies. That is a big change. Please understand the kind of political context we are currently in. Generally, Americans used to lecture and hector a lot. This time you will not see during Modi regime too much of a public embarrassment and hectoring. And this surprises global observers from Singapore to Shanghai to Dubai to London, that why Americans who are always very, very strong about that there are some aberrations. So America has been very muted in its critique. It has been very indirect. You'll get some foundation to criticize you on some religious minority issues and all of that. Our stature has grown beyond our expectation, I would say. Looking at our internal contradiction, we are always conservative in assessing ourselves. China remains a problem area, but the good news in the short term is that China itself facing serious problem. इकोनॉमी स्लो हो गई है, परेशानी है, कल कह रहे थे बाहर निकाल दो, अब दोबारा उनको बुला रहे हैं. Now they are inviting Americans again. First they wanted them to leave. So they also are realizing, and they are very practical people. They will also readjust. They will be very happy that India also becomes little more flexible in dealing with them. And look at our businesses. There is nothing significant that has changed in terms of China. Our relationship with Middle East is potentially a big thing that is playing out on its own strength. So my simple take is, regardless of the color of the government in Delhi, our economic trajectory now cannot be disturbed beyond a 1% here and there. We will be one of the faster growing economies globally for many years to come. That is not going anywhere because of the change in politics. Global their engagement, respect will only grow for us. Having said so, I also want to flag 2 points. An investor last week in New York asked me, we are very much interested in India market. We are invested. We want to buy more, but what do we buy? So to a layman like me, the question told me only one thing. The kind of opportunities they are looking at, we are not giving them those opportunities. Is government doing enough to grow the economy where big money can flow into the country? Not really. And I am a bit skeptical when we get so enamored with the stories like Foxconn. Finding successfully executed project by Foxconn is something, a good research that we all should conduct. They have made again promises. They will again look at various states. Foxconn came into India only 8 or 9 years ago, and no project has hit off the ground, right? Why is it so? On the issues of logistics, taxations, which make our economy comparable to an efficient economy like Vietnam, have our policymakers done enough? No. So even if Indian global investors are interested in you, have we created the enabling system enough for big money to flow in? I think that is our work that we have to do. But in terms of political, strategic, and geopolitical context, India is doing very, very well. It will be on a very strong path with all global players working with us closely and working with respect and deeper relationship.
Yeah, thank you.
If I can ask a question, I think, when we sort of speak to people, we get a very mixed feedback on what's happening outside the 50, 60 large cities of the country in terms of economic activity levels of income, joblessness, etc. And there is no data, right? We don't have a data. So if I read one commentary, I'll think everything is prosperous. And if I read a negative commentary, I'll think everything is. What is, if you have a sense yourself, given that you travel quite extensively in those parts or meet with people who have, who live in those parts? And secondly, what is the political sense of this? Because like I said, if depending on the last person you speak to, you either hear rural distress isn't there or it's deeply there. So I just wanted to get your perspective on this.
Look, a very simple or oversimplified answer as follows. It is reality. There is a serious distress and there is a serious despondency. When you talk about vast landscape of this country, you are very right in saying that the kind of activity or things happening and moving forward, the kind of chirpiness we see is limited to 50, 60 odd centers. That is also true. I will give you a very small little anecdotal example of the current situation on the front of unemployment. Because I am currently in the middle of building a new media business. Bhai, the kind of CVs, disparate reach out from the media fraternity while media is still booming and bubbling with activities, 400 plus channels, thousands of newspapers, the kind of joblessness, underemployment I see, to depict that picture, the adjective called desperate situation will be the right phrase. This I am telling you based on our middle class urban experience. Rural, you can imagine. So, for a growing country like this, the kind of income distribution, the kind of inequality that needs to be addressed, things are moving in a very, very slow pace. When I'm saying this, I'm trying to share what I think is happening on the ground. One should not draw a political interpretation out of it, because I'm also saying right now that electoral outcomes are now de-linked with economic performance of the government of the day. Then other considerations take over, and even these desperate people vote in a particular manner that they vote.
Just again on the point you made about India's emergence as a power now. We are no longer we talk with the rest of the world on an equal basis now, and sometimes actually not even an equal basis. We come across as possibly taking a slightly higher seat or something. I mean, some of that is obviously due to what's happening in our country. Some of it is happening due to what's happening with China vis-a-vis the West. So is there a sense that if China were to, or China and West were to patch up a little bit, some of our, we might need to tone down some of our things? I mean, I'm not asking for your view, I'm asking for everyone. Maybe if you have a sense based on what the administration thinks.
Very, very interesting question. I do not have a definitive answer to it, but the China ka roller coaster ride that we have seen and the flexibility I am currently seeing is amazing. When America and China are kind of so on the other extreme, the recent statements and the observations of Biden, while he says that I called Xi Jinping and I told him straight, point blank, this and that. At the same time, he says that yes, we want cooperative atmosphere to at least talk and not be confrontationist. So that extreme position is gradually diluting from both sides. From China side, it is more about practical situation. And for Americans, they also know that they cannot disentangle themselves with China, and any precipitate situation is going to be horrible for everyone. So if you are hinting at the possibility of situation improving between China and US, actually I won't rule that out. Currently, you see every big fellow, including Elon Musk and all, they all are flying into US, in China, spending good time there. And as I said earlier, they were throwing the companies, they were penalizing their own companies. Now they are supporting them. I'm talking about China. Then Americans are quite okay to deal with them. And despite so much trouble in US and so much cyber attack from all countries, including China, the biggest love Americans have today is with TikTok. Why would they allow TikTok? So US society and governance and politics is also going through the problem of aging, I would call it, that is visible uh, directly in your in front of your eyes in bad infrastructure and a dirty New York to people moving to other countries. So in fact, America is fighting to defend its position, number one, and it is always a defensive fight. China is determinedly fighting for becoming a number one. This fight will go on long term. In the midterm, I do not see any precipitate situation, frankly. Because after Russia, Ukraine, look, China could have created ruckus with it, but they withdrew. They are not supporting Putin the way Putin had hoped.
Sanjay bhai, normally we have seen in election, there is always a floating vote bank. The committed guys continue to vote irrespective of messaging and campaign, but the floating guy gets influenced. In your opinion, what will be the influencing factor for floating population in this election? Could it be Pulwama or Balakot kind of thing? Could it be Ram Janmabhoomi? Could it be economy? What will influence the floating population?
The current big infrastructure projects, because you can see it is visible, it plays a big role. So you see with the breakneck speed with which infrastructure projects are implemented in our city and elsewhere. Some of them are being completed before their deadlines, actually. So all of this whole nationalistic fervor, where there will be too many events taking place to emotionally charge you, number one. Number two, the visible infrastructure will play its role. Number three, the whole idea of beneficiary schemes. BJP has taken advantage of it. It will continue to do so. On the other side, inflation, social conflict, unemployment, and middle path to center to left ideology has not died. Please understand one thing. If you're looking at landmass and total support, same fellow who is voting for BJP in national election is voting for the opposition in state election. Currently, there are more states ruled by opposition than the BJP. So if we are discussing this whole ideological paradigm of left, right, center, blah, blah, which to me is basically a rhetorical debate to win or lose elections, country gives you enough signal that it is very liberal country, because they are electing a Stalin or a Mamta or anyone for that matter, and Congress party. So that persuasion, that inclination is not going anywhere. It is only about who wins or loses by a certain percentage. So coming back to your floating voter wala question, BJP ke samne the opposition will have a story, but converting into a vote will be a fight. BJP is par excellence in that. Opposition parties lack. They get votes when situation is pretty black and white and desperate, like Karnataka. In Karnataka, you had a strong local leadership and there was clear disillusionment and anti-incumbency. So the decision to vote was very clear. In case of Mr. Modi versus others, that choice is not very easy because Mr. Modi will still look popular and charming. So for floating voter, saying that more floating voter will be voting against the BJP, a first-time voter will be voting against the BJP, may be possible. The difference will be very marginal. So only because the efficiency of last mile vote conversion and the ability of opposition put together is very, very weak. And I do not see any situation where democracy khatre mein wala fervor becomes so strong that without any campaign I will topple a government. I don't see any such mood in the country.
So,
Thank you, Sanjay.
yeah, Nilay bhai, if I may, Sanjay, hi, this is Sandeep. Just wanted your view on in the 24 election. What role would the traditional media play now against the very big and rising social media?
Vis-a-vis social media, you asked?
Yes.
Okay. They do play a role in building narrative and propaganda and all of that. At this time, we may not realize, and I am not also concluding, but I'm observing 2-3 different things. Has BJP actually moved its communication channel to some other platform which is not visible to us, especially to its own core target audience? I think that this has happened. This communication has become more effective via WhatsApp, direct calls, and direct meetings. So when you see that opposition parties are learning some Modi trick and trying to adopt, and suddenly you opposition parties, this is Johnny coming late to the party. BJP has done this. They have mastered this art. They have gone to some other tools. So social media will define, influence our public conversation on day-to-day basis. Whether I am a mainstream news media consumer or not, I still get those WhatsApp. So you will get influenced by all of that. Mainstream media comparatively is losing relevance and influence, but is the noisiest, especially the TV part of the noisy media, mainstream media. That will continue. So mota moti, this match will cancel each other with advantage to BJP, because to me it appears that their conversation is now solely not dependent on mainstream media or to some extent social media. This is my very tentative opinion based on anecdotal experience, the kind of stuff I consume. So this is what I'm trying to examine, and I'm trying to learn more on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay bhai, for an excellent session deciphering various aspects of electoral strategy. I hope and pray that your analysis continue to not only guide our members, but also the political parties, and the market gets the result which they are pricing in or which they are expecting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My last word would be never believe a journalist. More than lawyer. Okay, thank you so much. And again, my apologies, Nilesh bhai, and to everyone present in the audience for the delay and for the hiccup. I apologize once again, but I enjoyed the conversation. And if certain things are proven wrong after 24, please do not tell anyone.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. Thanks a lot. So Nilesh bhai, we've been told that Mr. Goel will be joining shortly, and shortly would mean another 5 minutes. So why don't you and Mr. Dave continue with your analysis till he joins back? Exactly 5 minutes is what his office just told me.
You're
Sure.
on mute. Yeah, okay.
As I was mentioning, from a flow point of view, we believe FPIs will continue to invest in India as long as we deliver 3G of growth, governance, and green. The real challenge, as Sanjay bhai mentioned, was availability of opportunity. I mean, clearly, we'll have to absorb the flows which can come to India by providing appropriate opportunity. And there's no better time than today to get those flows, as both foreign direct investment on China plus one and foreign portfolio investment on China minus one is willing to come to India. Our ability to absorb those flows will determine how much money we can get and not how much they want to invest. The other revelation for India is domestic participation. In the past, foreigners' activity will undoubtedly influence our market, and even a random event like Brexit continued to have a temporary impact on our market, even though it was not going to change our fundamentals by much. Over the years, especially since March 20, domestic investors have started participating in Indian market. Their participation has been on a fairly matured basis. Whenever markets are in attractive zone, we have seen mutual fund subscription going up with SIP plus lump sum. And suddenly every month mutual funds are buying 25,000 crore of equity. And in times when markets look little bit expensive on a short-term basis, the flows come down with SIP minus redemptions, and investment comes down to probably 3 to 5,000 crore a month. With this kind of maturity, it is fair to say that markets are likely to see more buying by both local and global investors. And hence, bottom of the market will be much, much higher than what a normal historical analysis would suggest. At the same time, on the higher side, market could give a surprise as there is more buying and less selling in the short term. So we are, in some sense, Cinderella party time in market. Flows, sentiments, and fundamentals all are in our favor, pulling markets higher and creating a FOMO among investors who are sitting with cash or who wants to join the bandwagon on a longer term basis. Undoubtedly, such kind of scenario does create a pocket of euphoria. We are witnessing that in micro caps and mini caps, and also some of the small and mid caps. But bearing those few pockets where valuations are way ahead of fundamentals based on limited float or concentrated ownership, rest of the market still looks reasonably priced, albeit at the higher end, but still reasonably priced. As long as we deliver on 3G of growth, governance, and green, my feeling is that investors will be rewarded in Indian market like in the past. Ritesh bhai, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
So sorry, I think thank you, Nilesh, very helpful to understand that perspective. Shall we probably take a couple of minutes with Hitendra as well? Hitendra, your take to how you see the way the economy is going today?
Being invited to speak after Nilesh Bhai on stock market is not a good invitation at all. Let me tell you this. So I neither have a bearable story, not a long line, short line kind of a story. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult not to get a little carried. See, my concern is we might get carried. Okay, I think the truth is never as bad as it made out to be when India is down, and it's never as good as it's made out to be when it's up. So I think our job has to be as professionals to balance the narrative. I think I'll bring maybe, I mean, if the minister has joined me.
I think
Yeah, we can
continue till actually comes.
So no, I was just saying that I think some things for the people who are still on the call, some things that you might not otherwise ordinarily pick up. There's a term called rupee volatility. It's a mathematical term. It measures how much has been the plus and minus deviation from we are almost at a 20-year low or a multi-year low, whatever it is. So I mean, this is a good sign of the way the world is looking at India, that they've given up on trying to take the currency higher and they've given up on taking the currency lower. And the flows are evenly balanced. And those that are not balanced, the Reserve Bank of India either soaks up or provides. So I think that's one thing which I think it's a good sign, right? Typically, there's a signs of a maturing economy that your currency is not going all over. I think the other thing, similarly on the interest rate side, I mean, I think bond yields have been within 10-15 basis points of each other for a very long time, which allows real economy participants to plan their cost of capital and funding cost, etc., etc. So that's also another good sign. And the third thing I would highlight is that the main cause for stability, sustainable growth tends to be nature of balance sheets. So if you look at, I represent the banking sector here. I think the banking sector has never had balance sheets as good as this, going back as long as one can remember, right? It's never been this good. Capital ratios, liquidity ratios, provision coverage ratios. You look at the government balance sheet, again, it's not the best shape, but the tax revenues clearly allowing them to do a lot of infrastructure investment without resorting to higher borrowings. And if they choose not to make that extra investment, actually the balance sheet will repair very rapidly. So they are choosing the path of growth over fiscal consolidation a little bit. Similarly, at the corporate level, I'm sure we are a chamber, we all have corporate members. I think it's almost the case that debt equity, debt EBITDA, whichever indebtedness ratios, leverage ratios, they have come down dramatically. And it's quite a dramatic shift in the last 5 years. 5 years back, we used to call it the twin balance sheet problem. Now it's a twin balance sheet strength. Lastly is households. We don't really have a household balance sheet picture in India. There is no, it's proxy for it. But if you take into account the discipline in loan repayments, mortgages, unsecured loans, car loans, everything, both to NBFCs as well as to other lenders, it would seem to suggest even at least the urban households are in good shape. So if all the four principal balance sheets of the country are in good shape, the macro is a result of that. It is not, the macro is not resulting in this, it's the other way around, I think at least. So I think we have building blocks in place, yet I think there's a lot more to be done. I think we are all run businesses where the moment you raise prices by 2%, demand seems to fall by significant quantum. So there is a lot of work to be done to increase the income in the hands of the average Indian. And that's where I think, I'm sure we as a chamber also over the next 12 months, how can we help the government shape its thinking in that light? I think that's where I would say, but yeah, very, very optimistic, I think, about the country, very, very optimistic about what all of us can contribute and do. I think, the next 25 years, I keep saying, it's for us to use or lose. And I'm sure with collective inputs from all of us, we will use rather than lose.
Okay, well, many thanks. Super thanks. That was very useful. Sandeep, now we'll just wait for.
Yeah, another 3 to 4 minutes. Just got a message from his office. Nilesh bhai, the other question everyone wants to know, your view as to where is this market heading? Today again, I think 529 points up. You think
Sir,
in the short run,
sorry for the interruption, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. Minister sir will join the meeting shortly. Can you confirm me am I audible or not?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So Nilesh bhai, back to my question: where are we heading? How long is this bull run going to last?
So if you are asking a direction, the direction is up, but it's like roller coasters, right? You'll have to take the up as well as the down together. As Hitendra mentioned, on a longer term basis, we remain extremely bullish on Indian economy and the way we are positioned today vis-a-vis rest of the world. But does that mean that markets will continue to rise every day? Answer is no. Already in some segments of mini caps, micro caps, small caps, we are seeing euphoric valuation. Rest of the market is still not at euphoric valuation, but it is not cheap either. This is the time to be a long-term India investor and stay invested with quality companies. India is a rising tide. It will lift every boat sooner or later. Just ensure that you are not in the boat which has a hole inside it. A badly governed company, a company which takes minority shareholders for ride, is unlikely to be lifted with the rising India tide. That boat will sink for sure. And hence it is important to be in a boat which is good quality. Quality and long term, I think these two factors will play out very well for the investors.
Right. Yeah, waiting
Shall
for the
I
minister.
go, Sandeep, with a bonus question?
Oh, sure. Please go
to
ahead.
either of them answer. I was thinking about, I think that wants to pick it up. Given all the Fed changes which have happened on interest rate and the way India has reacted by keeping its own three vectors of growth, inflation, and currency at bay, all three managing extremely well. Do you think as a country we are on our path to get monetary independence, where our policy doesn't need to necessarily get dictated by and have to have equal 1:1 impact of what happens with the Fed rate? Do you think we are starting to gain some monetary independence now?
Hitendra, you want to take a first shot?
I think a good question. I think it's too soon to say. We are in a purple patch right now as a country, so we shouldn't. I mean, we should be happy about it, but to say that now forever Fed will go up or down and we will do whatever we want, I think it's too soon to say. These are unique circumstances where the inflation in the West is a once in a lifetime kind of a phenomenon, not matched by not just India, but we keep looking at India, but countries like Vietnam and all have started cutting rates, right? So it is not just us. Clearly, I think the financial markets are paying attention to why the Fed is raising rates, because they have an inflation rate which is almost whatever 300, 400 basis points higher than ours. So theoretically, their rate should be higher than ours. I never thought I'd live the day where US or UK interest rates would be higher than ours, but you never know. You live long enough, you learn and experience everything. But I think it's a sign of the financial markets realizing that the financial stability, growth, inflation, currency, everything in all emerging markets is a lot better than in the developed world. This is a reflection of that. But I think it's good to celebrate it, but not assume that this is how that's how I would think.
Completely in agreement with Hitendra. We'll have more flexibility, but to have complete independence looks a bit difficult at this point of time. We are living in an interconnected global world. Flows move across markets, and we are one of the most open emerging market in the world, where not only foreign direct investment, but also foreign portfolio investment continue to play an important role. We are well diversified today outside of US also as an investor destination. Our trade deficit, which was a concern earlier, is now no longer a concern thanks to the drop in oil prices as well as increase in goods and services exports. But to truly attain financial independence away from, let's say, global central trends, I think that's little further away. We'll have more flexibility on the way, but the nirvana is still some time away.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we still have time. Maybe just one more element. I think, clearly, given the changes on debt taxation which were introduced, and as well as on insurance, that's the other factor where if you are looking at a 3-year, 5-year, 7-year kind of return and your fixed income is capped post-tax at, I don't know, 5-6% or so, Nilesh Bhai and his brethren have a relatively easy job convincing people that, that much the equity will give you, so that also, I think, is another reason that provides, a high downside, as you said. The downside is not that large in the sense that there's a lot of people who will then switch from fixed deposits or fixed income into, and there's the foreigner element as well, but obviously the domestic element as well. And then if you keep hearing stories of how many employees the global capability centers are going to hire, and they're all young people and they're all earning a few hundred to 200,000 rupees a month, they can start putting in those 10,000, 20,000 rupees SFIs quite early. So yeah, overall the package looks quite attractive.
Yeah, thank you.
While we are waiting, which has been the previous guest speakers at our AGM or VIP guests and chief speakers like that? Just randomly passed in the history.
Sandeep, you will know.
You think any video?
Is speaking.
I'll just check whether we have something which is handy. Give me a minute. Mr. Goel will join in 3 more minutes. He's on his way home and he'll join from his residence. Try and see whether we can pull up Mr. Kotak's message at our foundation day and play that.
Hidendra, your question was, you wanted to just get an impression of what kind of speakers have spoken, or you wanted to hear some
Yeah.
content?
No. I just wanted to know who, like this time we have Mr. Goel, like
Yeah.
previously, not just last 2-3 years, I'm saying historically.
History, yeah. So Sandeep was back. We'll just tell him that.
क्या हुआ?
Sir, good evening, sir. Welcome to Bombay Chambers AGM.
Sorry, we've taken an absolute wrong date. Parliament is starting in 2 days, and I have an NDA meeting tomorrow. So mind is completely. I've just had a hectic day like anything today. Sorry for having delayed your meeting.
No problem, sir. Thank you for taking time on a busy day
But
for.
the program was not to start at 5:45, was it?
No, sir.
Hello?
So session was supposed to start at 7 p.m.
My God, it was impossible. I was at 5:45 in Dwarka somewhere. Okay, let's shoot. I'm at your service now.
Thank you, sir. Sandeep.
Yes, Honorable Minister, thank you for joining us today. I know it's been a busy day, and like you said, there's so much happening. So we would, request you to deliver your address to Bombay Chamber. All members are very keen to listen to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nilesh Shah, President of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Other friends who have joined the 187th Annual General Meeting, Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, Mr. Ritesh Tiwari, distinguished captains of industry, friends. My sincerest apologies that I could not be here at 7 o'clock as slated. We were in the midst of important deliberations related to the Parliament session starting a couple of days from now. And I truly regret the inconvenience caused to you. I'm indeed delighted to once again meet with friends from the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's been quite a long time since I last met with you in Mumbai. I'd probably come to your office, if I recollect correctly, quite some time ago. Or was
Yes,
it
sir.
before I became a minister, possibly? But I do faintly recall, is it somewhere in Kalba Devi?
No, sir. It is. It was earlier in
Kalagoda?
Bellad Estate. Bellad Estate.
Kalagoda.
It is there.
Yeah, so I've been there. I recall my being there. And thank you very much for the theme that you have chosen today, what we are and what we want to be. Truly very appropriate, because the India of 2023 is significantly different from the India of 2013. But the India of 2047, or any intermediate goalpost that you may choose in between, is certainly not going to be the India of 2023. So we've covered significant ground in the last 75 years of independence. I do see many milestones along this 75-year journey, but with great responsibility, I can say that the last 10 years, the last decade has truly been a defining decade, both in terms of what we inherited in 2014 and where we are today, plus the aspirational India that we are encouraging each one of the 140 crore Indians to aim for, to aspire for, which will be a new India, a developed India, a prosperous India in 2047. Friends, the entire country today is proud of the achievements of 75 years, is particularly very, very proud of the achievements of the last 9 years. What we see in India today resonates across the world. The world has taken note of an emerging superpower. Our strength is visible not only on the ground, but also in space. Chandrayaan 3 has been a matter of pride for all of us collectively as a nation, launched successfully 2 days ago. And I have no doubt in my mind that in this journey in space, India will continue to achieve many milestones in the years to come. We will probably be only the fourth country in the world to achieve the successes in space that Chandrayaan 3 is expected to be. And going forward, the private sector involvement in our space sector certainly bodes well for significant and rapid advances in the years to come. Prime Minister Modi has had two very successful visits internationally, amongst the many over the last 9 years. His historic visit to the United States and Egypt on the way back, also a very, very successful visit to France and UAE only earlier this week, are both testimony to the growing stature of Prime Minister Modi, who represents 140 crore Indians when he's going across borders. The 14 awards that different countries have bestowed on him, plus the 5 awards given by very prestigious international organizations like the United Nations or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, are all reflecting the growing recognition that every Indian is proud of across the world today. In fact, the award given to him recently in France is an award given to very rare personalities, amongst whom are the former Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel. Before that, King Charles, when he was Prince of Wales, possibly, I believe, also Nelson Mandela, the likes of truly very, very great leaders. And in its 200-odd year history, very few people have been bestowed on this highest civilian and military honor of France. In fact, he is the first Prime Minister of India who received this Grand Cross of the Legion of Honor, and truly is a matter of pride for all of us Indians. When Prime Minister Modi was in the UAE, he launched the bilateral trade between rupee and dirham, another big leap in our journey to make the rupee a powerful currency recognized across borders. And the skyscraper of Burj Khalifa in Dubai, illuminated with the Indian tricolor during Prime Minister Modi's visit, was a matter of great, immense satisfaction for every Indian about the growing clout that India has on the world stage. Friends, this growing recognition across the world comes out of a significant leap in our effort to meet the basic needs of every Indian. Serving the poor, bringing good governance to India, and service with a smile, service with a sense of purpose has been the hallmark of this government. What we say, Seva, Sushashan, or Garib Kalyan. And over the last 9 years, one of the basic tenets of this government, while working towards a corruption-free India, towards transparency in every act of the government, good governance being our hallmark, our effort has been to meet the basic needs of every single Indian. And when we did that, it was without discriminating between communities, between religions, between regions, between people. बिना भेदभाव के हर एक के बारे में चिंता करना ये सरकार की एक विशेषता रही है. And we have saturated government programs. So when we look at providing homes to the poor and needy, and we are already close to 40 million, 4 crore poor and lower middle class families getting a proper home with 2 rooms, a kitchenette, a toilet, electricity at home, cooking gas at home, water coming from a tap. It revolutionizes the whole concept of a family, the living standards of a family. And in a way, 40 million people have been made lakpatis thanks to this initiative to provide a free home. And nearly 20 crore, 200 million Indians will have a better life, will have a better future. Similarly, friends, every one of the programs, whether it is the free food grain that 800 million brothers and sisters, 80 crore poor or lower middle class people receive every month, month on month, free of charge. And during COVID, the same food grain entitlement was doubled from 5 kilos to 10 kilos per person, so that not a single person had to sleep hungry all through the 28 months of COVID. It was a program which has been recognized the world over and has earned tremendous respect for every Indian, for each one of us, for the sensitivity that was displayed to take care of the less privileged sections of society. Whether it is the free healthcare under Ayushman Bharat for nearly 600 million Indians, 60 crore of our less privileged sections of society, or it is the humongous task to ensure every home has electricity, every village has a road leading up to the village, every home has a toilet, digital connectivity reaches the remotest corners of the country. Now under the Jal Jeevan mission, every household gets water from a tap, Nal Se Jal, and I can count innumerable initiatives for improving the lives of the poor, the Dalits, the less privileged sections of societies, the marginalized section of society, our sisters, daughters and mothers, our youth, in effect, touching 140 crore Indians through a variety of programs and schemes, so that our youth, our people, our brothers and sisters, whose basic needs, roti, kapda, makan, shiksha, swas, all these basic needs being taken care of, so that each one of our young brothers and sisters connected with the internet, watching the world on television, today becomes a person with fire in the belly, with aspirations, huge aspirations, aspirations for a better tomorrow, aspirations for the good things of life, providing the 3 Ds that make India a great opportunity: democracy, demographic dividend, young population expected to remain young for the next 3 or 4 decades, and the demand that aspirational India generates. Democracy, demographic dividend, and demand are the 3 Ds that drive our economy to become the fastest growing large economy in the world today, expected to continue on this run for many, many, many years in the near future. Atmanirbhar Bharat is our goal, and when we talk of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are not looking at closing our doors and living in a cocoon or a shell. We are in fact opening our doors wider. We want to have greater international trade. We want to be a part of international global supply chains, value chains. we recognize that different countries, different nations, different geographies have competitive or comparative advantages which we should leverage on. But at the same time, we want to open the doors of other markets for products where we have significant skills, capabilities, and competitive edge. And therefore, a focus on free trade agreements or comprehensive economic partnerships with world leaders, developed economies, has been a core of the commerce agenda that we have. You know that over the last 2 years, 21, 22, and 22, 23, we've had record exports. Of course, unfortunately, the world seems to be moving towards a recession. Developed economies of Europe and America are under stress, very often overstocked. We have seen softening of commodities and commodity pricing and demand. Similarly, discretionary spending is very lukewarm. So gems and jewelry, textiles, leather goods, products which are our strength areas are currently under stress. In this situation, it is incumbent on all of us to work as a team and make the India story the compulsive story of the world. The world today wants to deal with India. The world today looks up to India, not only for its economic prowess, but also for the fact that on the geopolitical stage, our relevance is becoming very, very deep and important. And in this situation, I think India is not looking to isolate. India is looking to integrate with world economy. And therefore, I can say that while we are working towards becoming more self-reliant and self-sufficient, particularly in critical areas in which we suffered during COVID, at the same time, we are now looking to engage with the developed world from a position of strength, with self-confidence in our abilities, in our capabilities, and in our competitiveness. And I must share with you that I'm finding huge traction and support from Indian industry and stakeholders in this effort to make India an important international player, an international economy, which is a part of resilient supply chains amongst trusted partners. Friends, Prime Minister Modi has initiated several initiatives like the production linked incentive scheme, our focus on R&D and innovation, our effort to decriminalize laws and reduce compliance burden so that we can make it easier to do business and attract significant investment to India, our effort to focus on the 4 L's: land, labor, liquidity, and easing of laws, our work on the 5 pillars of the economy: infrastructure, systemic changes to make it a corruption-free system, our vibrant demography, as I mentioned before, strengthening our democratic and other institutions, and finally, strengthening our macroeconomic parameters, strong foreign exchange reserves, faster growth, relatively lower inflation compared to other developed economies. All of these enablers are helping India prepare itself or create the foundation for a strong economy in the future. Our bold reforms to boost industrial production, to boost India's industry and international trade and exports of goods and services, our reforms towards ease of living, where we trust stakeholders, we trust our business persons, we trust our citizens, and simultaneously bring relief to the poor and needy, are all in the direction of making India a developed nation, a prosperous nation. In the 25 years, the Amrit Kal, as we progress to 100 years of independence, and I have no doubt in my mind that that will only be possible with the collective effort, Sabka Prayas, of 140 crore Indians, with BCCI working hand in hand with the government, both at the center and in the states, all of us with the collective commitment and a sense of duty, Kartavya Bhavna, to make India a superpower, a global power to reckon with. And for that, friends, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai, as the Prime Minister says. This is the time, this is the right time. The world is looking up to India. Look at the traction the G20 presidency of India is getting. Look at the excitement at each one of our international engagements. Look at the world leaders coming to India, talking about Prime Minister Modi's leadership and his popularity all over the world. He is the boss, says one Prime Minister. He is the world's most loved leader, says the Italian Prime Minister. So everything is going good for India. It's for us to seize the moment. Friends, we have converted serious crisis into opportunity during COVID. We have learnt our lessons well, and our interaction today on VC is also testimony to our lessons that we learned during COVID. But it has also opened the doors to a completely new thinking. Thinking where we are working online, thinking where we are bringing greater transparency to our systems, thinking where we are focusing on logistics to make it more competitive, a massive thrust towards infrastructure investments, a $1.4 trillion infrastructure pipeline through the National Infrastructure Master Plan, closely monitored by the PM Gati Shakti for ensuring timely implementation of infrastructure projects, greater public and private sector engagement, ensuring last mile connectivity, ensuring the orderly planning and implementation of infrastructure projects, and making sure that projects come up speedily to serve the people of India, whilst also saving crores and thousands of crores, or possibly lakhs of crores, which otherwise used to go in either cost overrun or the inability of people to benefit from delayed infrastructure projects. So we are working with a mission, we are working with a drive that is unparalleled in India's history. Let us all capture the moment where India is looked upon as a bright spot with global ambitions. From the fragile five to the world's fifth largest economy, this journey of 9 years has truly been an astounding journey of Sabka Saath, Sabka Prayas, Sabka Vikas, or Sabka Vishwas. Let us take this journey forward so that we eliminate poverty from this country. Let us take this journey forward on mission mode so that we continue to be the top choice of investors across the world. In fact, a very recent 2023 Invesco Global Sovereign Asset Management study says that India is the top choice for investments, according to 85 sovereign wealth funds and 57 central banks, study which came out only a few days ago. Friends, we need to leverage our edge. And what is that edge? Economies of scale, our demographic dividend, our government industry partnership, and focus on quality and efficiency, along with sustainability, and finally, our effort to protect the environment, our effort to encourage innovation, our effort to truly become globally competitive, get out of the clutches of subsidies and government directing the Indian economy, but make Indian industry, Indian manufacturing, Indian export truly global in scale, globally competitive, and stand on its own legs with a sense of purpose to achieve in the intermediate by 2030 a target of $2 trillion of exports in goods and services, to make India the third largest economy in the next 4 or 5 years, and by 2047 move India from a $3.5 trillion economy to at least a $35 trillion economy, a feat which is unparalleled in human history. But under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Modi, something which collectively all of us are committed to achieve, something which is in the realm of possibility. And with BCCI's support, with your intellectual prowess, I am confident that your inputs will help us achieve these transformational goals. As the Honorable Prime Minister said, and I'd like to quote, the third decade of the last century gave new momentum to the struggle for India's independence. He's talking of the period 1921 to 1930, during which we had the Dandi March, during which very significant developments in our freedom struggle took place. I continue to quote, now the third decade of the new century, which is now, will give impetus to the development journey of India, of independent India. And friends, we are all stakeholders in this development journey. We are all friends who will work together, who will dream big together, who will work hard together, who will redefine the boundaries of what is possible and believe that nothing is impossible. We will all work together to make India an Atmanirbhar Bharat. We'll all work together to be vocal for local, but also take local global. Together, we can move mountains. Together, we can take India to greater heights. Let us all commit ourselves to this beautiful journey as partners in India's progress and prosperity. Thank you very much, friends, for your patient listening.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for narrating the story of India from fragile 5 to the 5th largest economy. As Bombay Chamber of Commerce, India's oldest chamber of commerce, we are committed to work with you and the government, with our members, so that vocal for local as well as local to global can be achieved. We are committed on behalf of our members to create an inclusive India which takes full advantage of its democracy, demography, and demand of an aspirational India. Thank you, sir, for your kind attendance in the 187th AGM of Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industries.
Thank you, Nilesh Bhai, and to all your friends, all the very best in your efforts. I'm sure with your leadership and the leadership of your team, Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry will play a very important role going forward. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you, Hitendra Bhai, for proposing a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Nilesh Bhai, and clearly a very inspiring speech by the Honorable Minister. And it is therefore my privilege now to propose the vote of thanks at the 187th Annual General Meeting of the Bombay Chamber On behalf of the chamber, first of all, of course, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed chief guest who just signed off, Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Union Minister for Commerce and Industry for the Government of India, and our earlier esteemed guest of honor, Mr. Sanjay Pugalia, who also gave us a really fascinating commentary on how he sees mix of politics, economics, geopolitics, etc. Who's obviously the CEO and editor-in-chief of AMG Media Networks. I think on behalf of everyone, I can safely say that we were truly honored by their presence and grateful for the enlightening addresses, both shared with us today. Just at the Bombay Chamber, clearly we firmly believe in fostering close engagement and collaboration with the government and regulatory authorities. And you saw some of that today, right? We had the government with us today. And clearly, particularly in matters where policy, administration, and entrepreneurial execution converge, the chamber remains committed to working hand in hand with both the government and the regulatory authorities to stimulate industry growth, bolster the economy, and position Mumbai as an international hub for business and financial services. It was so great to hear the minister openly invite the chamber to be part of the next 25 years. And we must take that invitation up with full spirit, is my sense. I would also like to extend my deepest appreciation to you, Nilesh Bhai, for the exemplary leadership of the chamber throughout the last year. Under your guidance, we have witnessed a multitude of major initiatives and successful events, including numerous conclaves, and you alluded to many of them in your opening comments, and impactful programs. I think I would pause for about 20 seconds to allow everyone to give a little applause to Mr. Shah for his invaluable guidance and unwavering dedication. Again, a special note of thanks also to our chair now, Mr. Ritesh Tiwari, for presenting the mission statement. I mean, the mission statement really does chart out our course in the coming year, and I am sure everybody, all of our colleagues, look forward to working under your leadership and guidance. Your articulate expression of priorities, both relevant in the current scenario and looking ahead, expands our perspective beyond the confines of the industry. Mr. Tiwari, rest assured, all of us will completely work with you with complete support during the forthcoming year.
Thank you.
Course,
thank you.
I would also like to express my gratitude to the esteemed board members, distinguished past presidents, and members of the various expert committees for taking out time of their demanding schedules to join us for this significant event. I mean, your presence and everyone's presence has enriched our gathering and elevated the discourse to new heights. And you saw that in the Q&A session that we had with Sanjay earlier. I reserve a special thanks to the Chamber Secretariat. All of us are here today because of the extremely good work and hard work and all the logistics and background that you have done. I know that they have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the success of all the initiatives of the Chamber through the last 12 months or so. As it is my privilege now to bring my address and, more importantly, the AGM to a close, I extend my heartfelt thanks once again to all of you for gracing us with your presence today. Your participation has made this occasion truly memorable. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dave. Thank you. For the starting words. Thank you, Nilesh Bhai. Thank you, Ritesh.
Thank you. Have a nice evening ahead.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you all the members for joining. Bye-bye.